Alright, hi, my name is Madison Wells, and today I'm going to talk y'all through my presentation about ag accommodations in the ag classroom. If you don't know, ag stands for agriculture, but it's kind of a long word and it didn't want to fit on my title slide, so I just went ahead and shortened it down to ag. So my first slide is going to be technology you can use in a non-traditional classroom. So something that I have always loved the idea of is alternative seating. Every classroom that is a lecture type of classroom is going to have desks with those uncomfortable chairs. I am hoping that my school district will allow me to have alternative seating options so that students can be more comfortable in my classroom. Another thing that I have learned to really love in my studies in, how to do a classroom is Kahoot. So if you don't know what Kahoot is, I definitely recommend that you look it up. It is super fun. I use Kahoot so that I can involve all my students equally without the need for verbal communication. Now, this is not for specifically kids with disabilities. This is just in general. There are lots of kids who don't want to raise their hand and say anything in class. So using something that lets them be involved without having to be verbal can be very great for some students. And then another thing is learning outside the physical classroom. So since I again will be an ag teacher, I will have, hopefully, let's hope that my school district allows me to have these things, but hopefully I will have like a greenhouse, some livestock areas, and a shop area that's going to have all kinds of different tools. So lots of things to look at, lots of things to experience, and lots of different things to learn about, of course. So then next, I'm going to talk about my experience and my knowledge. So I've been raising livestock since I was 8 years old. If you look at my slide, yes, that's a picture of me. That was my very first goat. His name was Baby. He followed me around like a baby because he was not even completely weaned when he first came to live with me. And so he and I got to grow up together, and we actually became very good friends. I would go out and read my school books to him. I would literally sit out in his goat pen on top of a doghouse that we put out for him because he thought he was a dog. And I would read like my AR books to him. So I've had lots of years in the ag barn, in the goat pen, in the horse pen, just anything you can think of. And then my dad, he's not really a carpenter, but he might as well be one. He is a electrician, so we have wired things together. We have built things together all my life. So I'm very familiar in the ag area, along with the fact that I love to plant things. So I have actually built my own garden about 4 years in a row now, and every year I learn so many new things. So that is just a few things that I would be able to add in as an ag teacher in the future. Next up is going to be my hobbies. So I am super boring. I don't do anything super crazy or anything. I basically play with my dog, which that is her down in the bottom picture. Her name is Sterling Lee. We named her Sterling because she is a Yorkie, and every Yorkie I've ever had has turned silver. So we thought that she was going to be silver in color, and we named her Sterling so that it would kind of be a funny, and the Lord works in mysterious ways, and she is tan and black, and she is not silver anywhere except for this one little spot on her hip. So her name is Sterling, but she is not silver, and that's just a nice little funny that we got out of her. And then I work so that I can make money to spoil my niece and nephew. So that is them up in the top left corner. The little girl, her name is Addison, and the little boy, his name is Alan, and I spend every penny I have on buying them stuff like Legos and glow sticks, and the other day we went to town and bought a bicycle. We went to town for chicken nuggets and came home with a bicycle, but it is what it is. Another thing I actually use a lot of my ag experience in, I bought a Dirksen, they call it a barn building is what it's called, but I'm turning it into a tiny house. It's just me and my dog, so I don't need more than one bedroom, one bathroom and a kitchen, and I'll totally be set. So I've been working on that, and I've learned a lot about power tools, like plug them in before you go to bed, or you'll get up and your screwdriver is going to be dead and you're going to be very angry. But that's just a quick little life lesson. Welcome to Maddie's ag class. It's going to be a wild ride. Next up is going to be my philosophy of using technology. So technology is so advanced at this point that even toddlers are using iPads in their daily lives. So it's inevitable that it's going to take over the classroom. Instead of pushing it out, we have so many new technologies available to us that I hope to use them all in my classroom to make my class not only fun, but also to help my students learn more in the classroom setting. So I'm hoping almost all of them are going to have a smartphone by the time I make it to a classroom. So why not, instead of telling them, put your phone away, put your phone away, put your phone away, why don't I just use their cell phones to help with class? And then, of course, I can have a few extra like iPads and stuff for the students who may not have a smartphone, because, not every student's going to have that kind of capability, but we can make it possible for everyone to have fun in using technology in a non-traditional class anyways. So that's really my philosophy about technology in the classroom, is why don't we just use it? It's already there. Let's have fun with it. And then, what is the most important thing as an educator to me? I want to have a class that my kids don't sleep through every day. I've had so many classes in high school, in elementary, in college, that I get there, and as soon as the teacher starts talking, I just want to lay my head down like this guy and go to sleep. I don't want to be that classroom. I want to be the class that kids look forward to every day. I want them to be like, man, I can't wait for fourth period. I wonder what we're doing in Miss Maddie's class. Like, that is my goal. I mean, not really my goal, but I do hope to be that teacher. And then I really want to teach life skills. I want to teach everyone how to change a tire, because there are so many, not just women, but it's very common in women to not know how to change a tire. You can be stranded out in the middle of nowhere and have no idea how to get yourself home. That's a huge issue. So I want to teach everyone how to at least change a tire, maybe plant an herb garden. It's not anything that we need as of right now to survive, but it's a good skill to have. And then another thing, I want to teach kids how to ask for help. That is something I struggled with in the very beginning of college. I would struggle through every assignment, everything before I would ask for help. And then finally, I was just like, you know what? I can't do this by myself. I'm going to ask my teacher. And the crazy thing is my teacher was like, oh, girl, I've noticed you were struggling. I was hoping you'd come ask me. Teachers are so awesome if you'll just go up to them and be like, listen, I'm trying my hardest, but I have no idea what's going on. So I want to teach kids how to ask for help. It's not you saying that you're not strong enough to figure it out on your own, but it is you saying, I need help, and there's nothing wrong with that. So then my favorite theory is actually the objectivist theory. So this theory in our book, if anyone has found it, it is laid out in a fun little 4-point, I want to call it a web, but I don't know if that's really what it's called. It's like 4 points that point into one big point in the middle, so it's actually 5 bubbles. But it lays out kind of how to introduce new things to students. So that's going to be super important in my classroom, as I don't know how often I'm going to be introducing new tools and new things in the classroom. Like, that's a bandsaw. Most kids aren't going to know what a bandsaw is. Am I just going to take them out into the ag shop and be like, this is the bandsaw, don't cut your hand off? Like, no, I need ways to introduce it to the kids so that they understand what it is, how to be safe with it, and when we're going to use it. Because there are some things you're not going to need a bandsaw for. Like, you're going to need a different kind of saw. But how am I going to teach that to kids if I just kind of throw it at them and I'm like, here's the information, hope you figure it out? No, I hope to use this objectivist theory so that I can help kids understand when to use it, how to use it, and also, of course, how to be safe with it, because it's a really big, really fast moving saw. So next up is teaching methods I've discovered this semester. So I'm just going to read this right off to you, but I'm not sure it's a teaching method, but this semester I've learned how important it is to find things to keep students interested in the class. This may be from the information or the way it is presented. Either way, if the students feel engaged in the materials, they're more likely to relate in, wow, I need to fix that, that's misspelled, but more likely to relate in the information presented. So I feel like that pretty much explains itself and I don't really need to elaborate. Okay, so how can technology change the culture? So technology can change the entire way students learn if we use the applications that are made available to us instead of the tried and true reading from a textbook. Not only will students learn more, we may help students succeed later in life as they remember things from school, which in return will help them in the bigger elements of life. So my picture is of medicine. If I had paid better attention in some of my science classes, I might would understand some of the conversions on how to convert Benadryl from what it says on the bottle to what I can give my dog. I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, dogs can have Benadryl. Fun fact, they cannot have liquid Benadryl because it has some sort of sweetener in it that will make them sick. But you can take a pill Benadryl and you can give it to a dog. Well, my dogs are really little, so I needed to know how much to give them. I spent 20 minutes Googling how much my dog could have. If I would have paid attention in school and maybe grasped the information I was given, I could have just looked at it and been like, oh, well, I can convert this down. But I didn't, so I didn't know. But if we made sure that kids understood this stuff, then maybe when they get a little older, they're not going to spend 45 minutes Googling how much Benadryl can I give my dog. So then success with technology in reflection. So with technology, students have many outlets for reflection. For example, they could go online and choose a GIF to describe how they feel about the subject in question. So if I just taught a class, I actually did this in one of my classes in Arkansas. Fun fact, I went to a school in Arkansas before I came back to Texas A&M University of Commerce, and that was actually one of our assignments. We had to learn this lesson, and then afterwards, she just kind of stared at us, and we kind of stared at her, and she said, now I want everybody to go Google a GIF and post it into our, I don't remember what application we were using that day, but posted it into our thing, and it kind of posted it like a sticky note, and it didn't really tell whose was whose, but that helped her to understand who was like if we were grasping it or not. So that was really fun, and it didn't really have anybody's name attached to it, so she just kind of understood, wow, everybody's kind of getting this, or wow, nobody's really understanding this, we need to touch on it some more. So that was really fun, and I'll forever remember that day because that was a fun class, that was a fun lesson. So then in collaboration, students who are shy may not want to contribute in a physical group, but if you do it online, they might be more willing to put in effort because it's online. They don't have to physically sit there and talk to these kids that they may not know. I know in my English class in high school, my teacher was always like, I'm going to put you with people that you don't talk to in class. Like, oh my goodness, how am I going to talk to these people? I don't know them. So if you did it online, maybe the kids that are kind of shy in that aspect, they won't feel so intimidated. They'll easily be able to just talk about it, work on it, whatever. So then in the community aspect, again, it can make students feel more included. But I say this because I was thinking about discussion posts. So if you have a less formal discussion post kind of thing online and students are going back and forth and they're kind of talking and going through things, kids may feel more involved because there are no side conversations going on. There are no the two jocks talking about the football game or the two livestock kids talking about the livestock show this weekend. It's literally just about class. So all the kids can come together because it's the only thing they're talking about. And then my last slide is going to be describe how you will apply technology to weekly lesson plans. So I have had this idea for probably a solid year now that in my lesson plans on Mondays, I want to start with something fun. I want to start with a fun activity. Just make Mondays about getting back in the groove of school because kids have had 48 hours of being home, which means if they're like my brother, they sat in front of the TV for 48 hours and played nonstop Animal Crossing. This was like 10 years ago, but that boy would play Animal Crossing until his hands fell off, I swear. And so, it's all about getting kids back into a routine, and lots of people are all about routines. I'm very routine, and so I hope to have a classroom that's very routine, and I hope to just kind of set something in stone, like on Mondays, kids know that they're going to come in and we're going to get a giggle out, and we're going to have a good time, and then on Tuesday when we come back in, it's going to be back to business. So then my very last slide, of course, is references, and it's got a couple of websites, and then our book that we use in the class. So thank y'all so much, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.